what challenges and opportunities do you see now arising for leadership in this, let's say, post-COVID world?
Well, you got practical ones, you have personal ones, and you've got kind of, let's call it the larger Weltanschauung of, kind of where we find ourselves right now. I think that practically speaking, what happened in leadership was the things that kind of make everything work, which are how we're connected, what our structures are, our schedules, our routines, the way we do things, kind of what people have control of and what they don't, their ability to exercise their gifts and all that. So you're floating along a certain way. And then COVID comes and it just was like a tsunami that obliterated your ability to connect with the people you lead and your customers. It did away with all of the structures of used to have meetings here and used to, and schedules. It did away with all of that. You don't have control of a tenth of what you used to have control of. Well, let's get 300 people together and take it. Oh, well, you can't do that anymore. And you lost control of everything. You can't go and like execute a lot of things that used to make you thrive and happy. And so leaders, and when I talk about it with leaders, I go deep dives in those categories and how can you bring these things back into your organization so people can actually thrive and you can get results. So you got that. That's one of the big challenges. The other big challenges of, we normally have 17, 18% of people in the United States that would meet criteria for depression or anxiety or an addiction. And now last year, I hadn't seen the numbers recently, but it's over 40% of Americans reach that criteria. So you got a lot of personal pain out there. And if leaders aren't listening and oriented to and helping both inside the tent and in their customer base, as well as their supplier and vendor, everybody in your whole business milieu, you're going to run into a lot of this stuff and you need to be equipped and oriented to deal with that. And then thirdly, don't strike a match outside today because there's a gas leak out there. And what I mean is the climate we live in, if you want to start an explosion, just open your mouth. And you can pick an issue, but it is a tough place to lead now if you want to be a unifier and not a divider. Our biggest problem right now is division. And you see it around executive teams, you see it around families, you see it around extended families, you see it in companies, you see it in the society, where if we can't find leadership, so you got people of, Harvard defines a difficult conversation as when you have something that really matters, the stakes are high, you have high emotions about it, and you have different perspectives. That's when you have a difficult conversation. All right. Well, that's where we find ourselves in multiple issues. So take COVID, take vaccination, take, masking, take whatever you want to take. The stakes are high. It matters whether or not somebody gets this thing. It matters. Stakes are high. The business stakes are high in how you handle whether we open or where we go. The stakes are high. Number two, the emotions are high. This is not a neutral topic. And thirdly, there's different opinions. You put those two together, you have a combustible array of stuff. Now, when I go into a situation like that, because my job a lot of times is to, whether it's boards and CEOs or departments or executive teams or whatever, my job is to take all of those ingredients, as are a lot of your attorneys, to take all of those ingredients, okay, and rearrange the way we're putting the molecules in there to where it comes out with something that doesn't explode, is kinetic energy to drive something positive forward. That's what a good facilitator does with a difficult conversation. So what we need out there right now and what we need inside is we need leaders that are able to take the divide and sit above it and are transcendent to the positions, but they're united or they're leading towards the higher purposes and the higher goals and be able to bring those positions together to get to the mutually desired upon result. Okay. And we don't have leaders like that a lot of times. We have leaders that fuel the divide because this greatest psychological tool, one of them, the bad one, the greatest bad one, is the victim-persecutor-rescuer triad. And that's when and leaders do this all the time, they'll take a group that feels like they're victimized, or they will convince them that they are. And these are the bad guys over here, and I'm going to step in and be your rescuer. Okay, so now I'm in power, right? Well, that's not what a good leader does. A good leader transcends the divide and pulls everybody into unity. Now, in that, they will execute justice. If somebody's getting victimized, they won't allow that. Okay, but they will execute it in a way that also tries to redeem the whole picture. And we don't have a lot of that happening right now. We got division upon division upon division. We need transcendent leadership that can bring people back together.